I understand you'd like me to hear your confession?
Yes, I would. Not exactly a confession. I haven't yet done the deed.
I'm here for you, Mark.
Is it possible for me to know a woman in the biblical sense?
Are we talking about sexual intercourse?
I think so.
Outside marriage?
My penis speaks to me, Father Brendan. This therapist suggested I could work with a sex surrogate who would be sensitive to my unusual needs.
In my heart, I feel like he'll give you a free pass on this one. Go for it.
So I was doing my research on this, and I went back and read Mark O'Brien's article on which the film is based, and it's on seeing a sex surrogate. And there's a line in there that just broke my heart. He said, "I doubted I deserved to be loved. My frustrated sexual feelings seemed to be just another curse inflicted upon me by a cruel God." So in the challenges that you had for this character, which challenges were harder for you to express? Those emotional challenges that polio inflicted upon him, or the physical ones?
I think they both were, but you know, what you say there is interesting because it's always more... I think a more vital thing for an actor to try to fight self-pity, to try to be solving his or her problem. And it's not so much fun to watch someone wallow. So while Mark would write those kinds of things, I couldn't really play that too often. I would always have to try to be solving his problem. Physically, the role was presented challenges because I could only move my head 90 degrees, had to be very still. I had to learn to type and turn pages with a mouse stick, and laid on a Mark's spine was horribly curved, as if you see the movie, the story talks about. So I ended up, along with the props people, making a ball of foam under the left side of my back. So laid in a strange position, often for an hour or two at a time, and that was difficult. And then mentally, just to try to figure out what this guy try to approximate his issue, and you can only get close. You know, I'm not a person with polio who can't move, so there were many challenges, but that's a start, I guess.
It's funny you mentioned you say try to get close, because obviously an actor's responsibility is to try to understand your character as best you can. But with a situation like this, you can only come so far without ever truly understanding it. What was the moment in your experience of playing him that you felt that you most closely understood what it was that he was going through?
Wow, that's a great question. Perhaps in the physical, the actual love scenes with Helen Hunt, because those are always difficult and challenging to shoot anyway, and you always feel a little lost as an actor, hoping it will come off okay.
You know, in reading Mark's article, I was amazed at how much he was still able to find humor in his situation. As an actor, whenever you're playing this part, was it difficult for you to try to find humor in all of this?
Perhaps, but that, again, along with self-pity, was really the mandate, I think, was to try to find whatever comedy we could find whenever we could, because the story is just it's a heavy story to begin with. But you don't have to play it that way, and I think that's what audiences enjoy is not a manipulative kind of it's not saccharine. It doesn't cue the strings or anything like that. I feel like it's a really has a lot of honesty around his disability, and I think that is really what makes it and humor actually, and that's what hopefully makes it interesting.
One of the things I loved it was that at its core, it's about a man who wants to experience something that he's never experienced before. So I was wondering, at this point in your life, what's something that you've never experienced that you'd like to maybe one day try to experience?
Wow. There's many places in the world I haven't been to. I suppose to travel to one of those places would be great, but mostly I've kind of done what I wanted to do. I've been lucky to try to at least make things happen. You know.
Well, I look forward to you experiencing an Oscar for this one, because you deserve it, my friend.
Thank you so much.
It's such an honor to get to sit across from you.
Oh,
thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank
have a good day.
Sir.
You ever come to Houston? Have a very comfortable fold-out couch.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, it's good.
Hi, Mark O'Brien.
Your money's on the desk over there.
Yes, it is.
That was the wrong way to start off.
It really was. Shall we start again?
Please, you start.
I'm not a prostitute. You don't have to pay me up front. And there's a limit to the number of sessions we can have. The limit is 6. Shall we get undressed?
Sure.
Whenever you are unfamiliar with a co-star and you have to be in scenes of intimacy, like scenes like this, does that unfamiliarity, does that make those scenes easier, or does it make the scenes harder?
Maybe it makes them easier. I didn't know John at all. I mean, I could tell very quickly he was a sweet human being whose only interest was to, do a great job in this movie. So I think we both just looked at each other like, here we go. And I think our love of the story made all the rest of whatever, you know, shy, whatever. There was no place for that, because I think we both felt so deeply that we wanted to bring this beautiful story to light.
When you're considering a role like this, and there are the nudity requirements, what other aspects does the role have to have for you to say, you know what, it's worth it, I'm going to take it?
Tons of money, and this had none, so that did not work out. So I had to come up with a new requirement.
Right.
I read a good amount of scripts, and they're all awful. So when you read one that's incredible, with a part that's never been, this woman has never been on film, you know what I mean? This particular kind of woman, I've just never seen her. It's pretty hard to turn that down.
Now, whenever you play a part like this, and the part, you know, she has so much courage and so much vulnerability, are you playing a part of a character that has those attributes, or do you need to have those attributes yourself in order to play the part?
It's both. For me, I mean, I don't know how other people act, actually, but the way I do it is it's a combination of both. One moment, it's your imagination. The next moment, it's something you read about the woman that you're playing. Then it's something from your past. Then it's something that happens in the room from the other actor. Then you're got a ticket on the way to work, and that made you mad, and you use that. It's sort of, you know, you grab at everything and anything.
But, you know, we are all kind of already talking, and I don't know if you hate to hear this or not, about the fact that you deserve an Oscar for this part. As someone who has been through that experience before, is that kind of just part of the deal? Do you enjoy that, or you just kind of take it and run with it? How does that work?
Since I have no control over it, it's, you know, good not to think about it too much. But, you know, I don't know what to say.
Gotcha. Well,
my Oscar's lonely.
Oh,
He needs a friend.
it doesn't need a
I'm
friend.
kidding. I don't know. If people get to see this little movie, if this little movie, it becomes a big movie and that people get to see it, I feel excited that there's a movie out there about sex that isn't weird. That where the light isn't low and the music doesn't swell and the bra strap comes off. When you see this movie, to me it makes every other movie where anyone's
Right.
had sex look really strange, because this movie is so not strange.
Right.
It's just so pure.
Normally, I feel like a movie like this, I would feel awkward watching around my
Yeah.
folks, but I was telling my folks, I was like, I would actually, like, if you guys wanted to go to the screening, I would love to take you to go see this.
I feel that about younger people too. I mean, there's a lot of TV shows and movies about sex that I like to watch, but this there's this term that the real woman that I played used, which is sex positive, but she's from Boston, so she says sex positive.
Pause. I love that.
And I love that that's a thing. First session, he was extremely nervous.
Let's forget about it.
Mark, do you want to see this woman or not?
No.
Oh, it's too late.
What floor?
18th floor.
What kind of therapist is she?
She's a sex therapist. Today they're working on simultaneous orgasm.
What's that?
You're gonna start to listen to signals from your body. That way you'll be able to have some control. when you
Oh,
feel-
God.
I understand even among non-believers, the most common expression of sexual ecstasy is, oh God.
One of the things I truly love about your character is that, you know, Mark O'Brien comes to him and he has this situation where he asks essentially for permission to have sex outside of marriage, or pay for sex outside of marriage, which theoretically the priest could have said, no, that's a sin, but he says, you know what, go for it. It's such a beautiful decision that he makes. Is it easier to play a character when you agree with the decisions that they make?
Oh, what a great question. I think so. The flip side is that if it's a character who you absolutely loathe, that's also great fun also, to find the logic in what they're doing.
So if you were to like compare and contrast, like maybe like this from Fargo, like is it like similar and different experiences?
Yes.
yeah.
This was a joy. I mean, the whole world of disabilities has always been near and dear to my heart, and I love what this film talks about. I love that it takes two things which make us want to look away, which is sex and disabilities,
Right.
and tells such a lovely, gentle story, one that makes you glad that you're a human being.
Absolutely. Now, whenever you're having these in-depth conversations about sex and you're shooting inside of this beautiful church, do you kind of look around and do things get awkward? Does the environment in which you shoot in change your comfort level in terms of acting?
It was a player in this thing. I mean, John's character says, "Should I do this, Father?" And I was blocked to walk around and look up at the altar, and there's this magnificent statue of Jesus there, and I'm supposed to ask him. And made it better. I think that whole phrase, what would Jesus do, is maybe hackneyed, but it's a good question.
Right.
And I think my character did ask Jesus, and Jesus said, yes, he should do it. This is right.
Now, I mentioned something before. I think I said the phrase "comfort zone." But when it comes to like having those sort of conversations that you have to have with John, or the scenes that John and Helen have to shoot, is an actor allowed to have a comfort zone?
Yes. Yes, we get to set some of the ground rules, but given that an actor's job is to be out of the comfort zone, if you're too comfortable, the scene probably stinks, because drama is about being out of stasis.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
That's why they call it conflict. So it's our job to be uncomfortable and fight our way through it.
Interesting. What would say just randomly? What's the most uncomfortable you've ever been in a character?
Oh. It's a tough question. I mean, sometimes it's physically uncomfortable, sometimes it's emotionally uncomfortable. What Helen did is tough. To take off your clothes in front of a bunch of Teamsters is an event that most people want to avoid. And then to be so unselfconscious and then to act it so beautifully as she did, it's not easy.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to
Absolutely.
do.
Now, one of the things I really loved about the movie is that at its core, it's about a man who wants to experience something that he's never experienced before. So I was wondering, at this point in your life, what's something that you've never experienced that maybe you'd like to try out sometime?
I've never had sex with Helen.
Picture yourself as a 6-year-old boy. Do you blame him for getting polio?
What is she like, Cheryl?
She's the most wonderful person on the planet.
I don't usually meet with clients outside of work.
We don't have to do much talking. I just want people to say, hey, who's that gimp with that beautiful blonde? What happens when people become attached to each other? Maybe this is a bad idea.
I think you've done a great thing.
She adores me, and I can get pretty kinky. Am I sharing too much, Father?
Go on.